Hello, everyone, and welcome to ReYES Financial Literacy Workshop, specializing in COVID-19 financial advice. Today, we have some incredible distinguished speakers you do not want to miss. I am honored to introduce Representative Carolyn Logan. She is the first female state trooper. She fearlessly carved the path of expectations so that females could fight crime. Currently, she is making history as the standing representative of House 101. Thank you for your service, Representative Logan. Next, we have Judge Rex Marble. He is the youngest judge in Mecklenburg County. He was appointed by Governor Cooper. Judge Marble has the heart of a public servant. He volunteers more than any other elected official that I know. Last on our distinguished panel is Councilwoman Dimple Ajmera at Large, also known as the Queen of Free. She earned that name by helping Charlotte become a global leader in sustainability with bipartisan support. Councilwoman Ajmera works tirelessly on the environment: recycle, reuse, and reduce. Before we start, I want to take a minute to talk about Topeka Dave and her leadership with ReYES this past year. This will be the fourth financial literacy workshop Topeka has spearheaded. She became the founder and the president of ReYES because she knows that young adults must learn financial literacy to become successful in the world. She graciously teaches all young adults for free. Most impressively, when COVID-19 started back in March, Topeka mobilized a team of volunteers and started producing CDC quality face masks. Over 1,800 masks were distributed to India, North Carolina, and South Carolina, even before our federal government acknowledged we needed masks. Words cannot express my gratitude because of all of the lives she saved. Topeka did not ask for money. She gave them away for free so that we as a community could survive this pandemic. Topeka, thank you for your courageous leadership. Topeka, would you like to say a few words about ReYES before we start with our distinguished guest?
That the problem is still huge, and we need to bring change about social norms, stereotypes, and fight against bias. I believe that if we want to bring desirable change in our community, begin from self. And so, I am extremely proud to have founded the ReYES Global Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, in May 2019 to educate, engage, empower the young people to build a support network in USA and India. Hundreds of girls, women, boys, and men have benefited from our programs and campaigns in India. We do not make only women aware, men too. ReYES believe that women and men complement each other and do not compete. Their difference is not a problem, it's a solution. ReYES has a primary mission of providing a support network focusing on delivering the programs to enhance financial literacy, drug awareness, and women empowerment. With financial literacy as our charter program, our mission is to empower young people during a critical development period of their lives. ReYES hopes to instill positive habits on saving, investing, and consumption. Money skills are one of the best things we can give to our children. It will set them up for a future of independence. Because people are generally aware, they lack the ability to make sound financial decisions when they are to be made, and that imposes so much stress on getting them through a week or a month that many are unable to think meaningfully about the future. So ReYES provides financial literacy workshops that have highly defined purpose to promote financial awareness and stability in the young people's lives during this pandemic, and especially girls and women who need to have the necessary life skills to negotiate key life decisions. We want to bring improvement in the financial status of needy young adults through ensuring easy accessibility and better finance system. If we forgo the opportunity to work with youth, we forgo the opportunity to improve the world. ReYES Global Foundation has a very deep insight for the younger generation to help become successful in their lives, hence have them succeed in their social, cultural, financial life and live a happy, peaceful, purposeful and successful life. Thank you. Tara?
Topeka, thank you for that explanation on ReYES and all the hard work you're doing. Now for our distinguished guest speakers. Representative Logan, can you tell me more about you and what do you think about our society's preparedness on financial challenges during this pandemic? And what is your advice to cope with this cope during this difficult time?
Thank you, Tara, and good evening. I think you did quite a wonderful job in introducing me earlier, and I've always enjoyed being in your presence. You're a great supporter. But as you said, I'm Representative Carolyn Logan. I am in my first term in the House of Representatives, running for my second term. I do support Medicaid expansion, fair economy, and raises for teachers and state employees. As you said, I'm a retired law enforcement officer of 30 years of experience. I was the first Black female trooper in the state of North Carolina and served most of my time right here in Mecklenburg County. I'm a single mother and have been here in the Charlotte area since 1985, and I do love Charlotte. I serve District 101, which is the west side, and I've incorporated a lot now of North Mecklenburg County right up until a lot of the Huntersville area. And I've taken on some of the new, the district has changed a little bit, so I've got some of the Huntersville area, and I look forward to meeting some of the new people up there. But with your question, North Carolina, like most of the United States, has been hit pretty hard with COVID, and I think we're doing well. And of course, there's a lot that's going to show up later on. Of course, with financial literacy, financial literacy is a person's, going to what it is, it's a person's ability to understand and properly understand their financial management skills. And it includes budgeting, understand interest rates, prioritizing savings, the credit debt cycle, identifying theft and financial safety. Now, most people are working to survive, and it can be confusing, the difference between the financial sector versus what real people, need most. And it can be scary, and especially what's going on now. What we can do is learn more, and it has to be self-motivating. And teaching in schools, we can run into gaps, which is hence due to this pandemic. We passed House Bill 924, and it had features that included an increase in financial literacy classes, but it was controversial, and it is, and that's due to that it replaced history classes and it had other issues. Now, I am one that voted against House Bill 924, the concurrence of it, along with some other Democrats, and my reason was that it was doing away with history classes. Now, further into answering your questions, I think the society was prepared as well as it could have been for an impact such as this pandemic. my advice is to prepare now. And you might say, well, why prepare now? Because it's not over. And for this to have to hit us now, it's not the last time that we're going to see anything of this sort. So I have always been one who, did not save the way I should have saved. And I talk to my children now and teach. And I started them savings accounts when they were young. Started them savings accounts at the credit union that they have now. So if you have not been saving, whatever you can save, even in this time, save it, put it aside, whatever that you can, and prepare now. And that's the best advice that I can give anyone. Thank you.
So true, Miss Logan. The coronavirus pandemic has destabilized the global economy. The consequences of inadequate financial education expose the fault lines of a society unpreparedness to face the greatest financial challenges. Now, perhaps more than ever, everyone, workers, managers, legislators, and students need financial literacy skills to navigate uncharted economic uncertainty. Thank you, Ms. Logan.
Thank you.
Judge Marvel, please let us know more about you, and then I have a question for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deepka, and thank you so much, Tara, for the warm introduction, and thank you both for your advocacy and commitment to our community. So just a little bit about me. I'm a district court judge in Family Court in Fort County. That means I hear cases of child custody, child support, divorce, and domestic violence. I was appointed to the position by Governor Roy Cooper after there was a vacancy, which means a judge had retired, so I had the rest of his seat. And I am running in November to defend my seat. But I take the position very seriously. When I was a child, my life was impacted by judges. When I was a child, one of my parents had a serious drug addiction, and that addiction had brought my family to court, not only for criminal matters, but also family court matters, and ultimately for custody. And I know what it's like as an individual to have a judge determine where you're going to have to. And so that's why so seriously. And also, judges are in our community work history, and I try to do my best to get out and get to meet, interact with people in the community to kind of demystify what judges are and what we do. Because the truth is, like, we impact people's lives every day, and it's not just the lives of the person in front of us, but it's a ripple effect to the whole community. So that's why I'm very thankful for this opportunity, for both of you for the invitation.
Okay, thank you. My question to you is that you have worked in the city family courts for years. What do you think that does the pandemic affect women differently than men? If yes, how and why? And what would be your best advice to young women out there?
Certainly. And there's no doubt the pandemic has affected everybody in our community and everybody in the world. And it's really exposed a lot of fault lines and really gaps in the system where people are unfortunately falling through. And it's really our duty as leaders and community leaders to try to, one, help, and two, prevent that in the future. But for how the pandemic has affected women differently in a family court context, there's two big indicators. And the biggest one and the most glaring one is domestic violence. There's no doubt, statistics have shown that when we had the shutdown initially, domestic violence was on a rise. And it's not a shocker. I mean, from the first point, if you're a victim and you're in the house of an abuser during the shutdown, it's hard to leave a situation like that. It becomes even harder when we were in that pandemic. The other thing is certainly there's a lot of stresses involved with the shutdown. The big one was financial stress. Just overnight, a lot of families did not have jobs or did not have a place to go to work, and that stress indicator certainly aided in the increase of domestic violence. Now, as a judge, we were still hearing cases of domestic violence, and what really hurt me was that so many people thought that the courthouse was closed through the shutdown, where we were actually working. So I do fear that many people that needed court, that needed the assistance of judges and the assistance of our court system, didn't seek it because they were fearful that the court was not operating. But we have been, and we still are, and I still am. Even for my own house, right here in front of my computer, I still address court and have court. The other issue with women is we all know, unfortunately, due to inequities in our own society, women earn on average 70 cents per dollar for men. Now, where that comes into play with family court is with the child support system. What that's supposed to do is even if the child in a separated situation is with mom half the time and dad half the time, if there's a financial gap, then the parent earning more should be supporting the other, so the children have some kind of consistency. And the other thing similar to that is alimony, which is another means to, again, have consistency for the family. And because women are statistically, and due to our inequities, lower wage earners, again, that's something that does impact, and through the pandemic it has. We had a slowdown in addressing both of those cases because they weren't deemed emergencies by the courts, and we were prioritizing domestic violence. We were prioritizing emergency custody for children. We weren't prioritizing those, but again, I'm fearful of what could have happened to someone that really needed the finances. And I will let you know that we are having court in person in the mornings and at distance-wise, remotely in the afternoons to address it. And I guess my advice, kind of wrapping into all of that, with domestic violence and other issues of finance with the court system and family court system, don't be afraid to speak up. If you're a victim, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to go to the courthouse to seek help, to go to the magistrate to seek help. Don't be afraid if you're in a financial constraint. Don't be afraid to attempt to file so a judge can address those issues. Because if there's a financial change of circumstances in your family, the court can address that, so we can make sure that the spouses and children are supported the way that they should be. And so that would be the biggest thing. Don't be afraid of the system that can be used to help you, and again, speak up if you do need help. So thank you so much.
Yes, perfect. Yes, sir. Thank you. I asked you this question because according to research based on data from NFCS, is National Financial Capability Study, which posed 5 basic financial literacy questions and tabulated the answering success of women versus men. Results showed that both millennial and older women underperformed men in answering these basic questions. The study also found that women are more likely to register don't know answers to these questions. Women consistently score lower than men on financial literacy measures, and this gender-based gap may negatively impact women's long-term financial well-being. Thank you, Judge Marvel.
Thank you so much.
Let us learn
Thank you, Judge
more.
Marvel, and
Sorry.
thank you, Judge Marvel and Deepika. Councilwoman Ajmer at large, will you tell us more about yourself? And can you explain what programs are available through the government to financially help struggling businesses right now during the pandemic? I know you and all of the city council members are working tirelessly to help our community.
Thank you, Tara, for moderating this. And Sister Deepika, thank you so much for having me on here. Certainly appreciate your leadership to empower our youth and our women. Certainly it goes a long way. Thank you so much. So City Council, well, Charlotte have received over $154 million from CARES Act dollars. The reason we received money is we are one of the largest cities in the nation. We are 15th largest city, and we are the only city in the state that received COVID funding from CARES Act. And that money, the City Council has allocated in 4 different buckets. Number 1, housing. Number 2, small businesses. Number 3, operations, our city operations. And number 4, airport. So we have currently 3 task force. We have small business task force, we have housing task force, and we have airport task force. And each one of these task force have allocated funding to support our airport vendors, our small businesses, and our housing efforts. And we certainly live in unprecedented times now. Right now, we have so many small business owners that have been that are impacted, especially the ones that are owned by minority and women-owned businesses. There is a report by Stanford that shows how women-owned businesses and minority-owned businesses were left out of the PPP dollars. And that has certainly caused many businesses to struggle in terms of access to capital. And small businesses are lifeblood of our economy. They keep this economy engine going. And I'm sure Deepika can relate to this more than others because she has a small business and she runs, and that's a family-owned business. Many of these businesses in especially the hospitality industry, such as restaurants, event planners, hotels, they have been impacted the most. So what we have done out of $154 million that we received from CARES Act dollars, we have allocated $30 million to support our small businesses in Charlotte. And we are providing grants to small businesses. They can get up to $25,000 in grant for businesses that have less than $2 million in revenue and have less than 25 employees. And so far, there has been millions of dollars that's already been distributed to help businesses. Currently, businesses that are being prioritized are the ones that have not been able to get other funding, such as PPP or state resources. So we want to make sure that we are giving these businesses first opportunity to have an access to capital. And we were given the statistics on who the applicants were and who received the funding. Majority of our applicants were people of color, and a lot of them were women. And that clearly shows the disparity we had seen in our PPP distribution. So far, many of the small businesses have gotten funding. In fact, I know 3 business owners who had personally reached out to me. They had a struggle to get funding. They weren't sure whether they were going to keep this dream alive. You know, many of these businesses like food truck owner or catering company, they had this dream of owning a business. They had poured in 10, 15 years of hard work into this, and a lot of them almost didn't know whether they were going to be able to continue and pay their bills. I know a small business owner who has a property management company, and because of the pandemic, a lot of tenants were not able to pay their rent, and in return, the property management company that provides affordable housing were not able to get their fees. And it was really, they were struggling because they had to continue to provide services for repairs and so on, but they were not able to get any revenue. So there are a lot of small businesses that were struggling, and I know that there are so many small businesses that received funding that gave them a fighting chance. This funding is not going to be able to solve every single business problem that is out there. What this funding is designed to do is to give a business a fighting chance that they would not have otherwise. So that's on small business. So our deadline was on Sunday, just this past Sunday, and we will be getting an updated report on distribution and who applied and the statistics on August the 10th at our Workforce and Development Committee. So that's on small business. Second, I'll cover housing, because in this pandemic, so many residents have not been able to pay their mortgage or pay their rents. I know there are so many residents that were not able to even get unemployment assistance till later, because the system was so overwhelmed with the number of calls they were getting and just the number of requests online. So we have created this housing assistance, and this housing assistance is going to provide rent relief and mortgage relief. So if you are struggling to pay your rent, and if you're struggling to pay your mortgage, there is an assistance available. You have to show that you have been impacted by COVID-19. If you're interested in this, go ahead and Google City of Charlotte rent relief and housing mortgage relief assistance, and you'll be able to find it. If you're not able to find it, always email me. My email address is on the city website, dimple.ajmera. So that's on the housing assistance. I see, and many of my colleagues will tell you the same thing, that we do anticipate a huge influx of evictions filings, and that is really going to even increase our affordable housing crisis in our city. And that's why we are being proactive in addressing the rental assistance and mortgage assistance issues up front. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to address this issue before we see a huge wave of evictions. Third, I want to talk about the airport. So as you know, our airport traffic was significantly reduced. As you know, that our airlines are heavily impacted, and so are business owners that do business at the airport. You're talking about our small businesses such as restaurants, pretty much all sorts of businesses at the airport. So what we had done, many of these vendors told us that we are not able to pay rent. We are not able to pay rent to airport because we are not getting the traffic that we really need to sustain our businesses. So what we had done in order to encourage or to even help some of these airport vendors, we had provided a relief assistance. So not relief, we had provided rent deferral. So they will be able to pay, they will get some more time in order to pay their rent. So some of those dollars have gone towards airport. And last but not the least, as a city, we have been affected as well because our sales tax revenue has been heavily impacted as consumer spending has gone down. So we need this funding to keep our operations going. And as a result, we have allocated certain funding for our city operations to keep our buses, because sales tax directly impact city revenue. So we have to make sure that we have fundings to keep our airport operations going, our transportation operations going, and just overall city operations. Certainly, with this pandemic, our services have continued to go up, whether it's water, solid waste, transportation, and so on, but the revenue has gone down. So some of this funding will help us continue with our operations as is. And this $154 million of CARES dollars has certainly have provided lifeline to small businesses, to residents, to our airport vendors, and even our city operations. We are certainly very grateful for this federal assistance. I recognize that majority of this work would not have been done without the CARES Act dollars that we have gotten from federal government. So that's just in a nutshell. I did see some questions around small business assistance. For those of you who have applied and have not gotten a response, as I mentioned earlier, we are prioritizing the businesses that have not gotten funding so far from PPP and other resources. So if you have gotten funding from other resources, you are next in line. I just want to put this out there because I know there are businesses that have applied, but we are prioritizing the ones that have gotten funding. So if you'd be in our next wave of applications review, and you will be getting a response from the city as we are now wrapping up the first wave of applications that have not gotten any funding. So that's in a nutshell. Tara, anything else that I did not cover that you'd like me to cover?
Councilwoman, you did an excellent job. Thank you so much for being here tonight and catching everybody up on what we need to be working on as small business owners and nonprofits.
Thank you.
Deepika, would you like to? Yeah.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Dimple. And thank you, Miss Logan. Thank you, all our participants. And thank you, Judge Marvel. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And as we are heading towards the end of the session, my message to all, a general message to all is, we do not need magic to change the world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. We have the power to imagine better. Hold on to your dreams. Take up the challenge of forging an identity that transcends yourself. Thank you all, and thank you for joining us tonight with us. Join us again on our upcoming session on 25th of August with the topic of financial literacy for young adults. Thank you. Namaste.